we could all giggle and gag over the audacity and ickiness of these dudes. It's not that I think online dating turned men more sexist, just that the relative anonymity unmasks their misogyny. I suppose it's like any form of social media, where people are emboldened to be vitriolic in a way they probably couldn't muster in person. But it seems to go a step further with dating apps. The sheer volume of men being completely inappropriate is wild. On a dating site, you can act on impulses you might otherwise keep quiet, says Christian Rudder in his 2014 book, Dataclysm. The site doesn't connect to your family. Nothing gets posted to your friends' timelines. In a digital world that's otherwise compulsively networked, there's an old-school solitude to online dating. Here, Rudder is talking about the dating website he founded, OkCupid, but his observations definitely apply to the apps too. I'd argue the main difference between old-school dating sites and the apps is the scale on which they were used. That and an increased focus on matching based solely on appearance. This was the aspect that outraged my smug 27-year-old self, after all. The scale has an impact because we begin to see each other as ever replaceable. There is always another face to swipe on, another date to go on. This, coupled with the image-based nature of the apps, as opposed to dating sites which generally ask people to fill in a lot more information about themselves, is a heady mix for your garden variety misogynist. Add on the relative anonymity and it's like someone invented a way to streamline the objectification of women. Fun! Of course, the lack of constant outside observation that online dating offers can be freeing, but it can also enable a lot of bullshit. Free from the constraints of public opinion, men who hold misogynistic views, and sadly that's a lot of them, can do as they like. It doesn't help that there are little to no consequences for sexualized pestering or even throwing insults around as a way of coping with rejection in these spaces. There are some dating app behaviours that are pretty obviously misogynistic, but the subtler stuff takes longer to notice. It's often hidden in the repetitive, pithy statements that dating app bios are full of. Looking for someone who doesn't take themselves too seriously, and no drama, are two absolute classic stock phrases. They're so commonplace that after a while you stop thinking about them and what they actually mean. Even if what they mean is, I hate women, but I'd like to do sex. Every bio, however generic, has a subtext. My Instagram page, Tinder Translators, began as somewhere I would translate awful bios I found into non-dating app speak. It was a cathartic way for me to read douchebags for filth, and it made coming across several soul-destroyingly awful bios a day a bit more bearable. At least they were good content. Soon, other women, and the occasional man, started sending me awful bios to translate. It doesn't seem to matter if you're in Manchester or Melbourne, the same stock phrases abound. What I soon realised is that these phrases provided a way to talk about so much more than just Tinder. They gave me a jumping-off point to talk about how misogyny plays out in the world at large, and especially in our personal relationships. They started conversations about how men treat women and why we don't expect more for ourselves. The general fuckery of men, something that is enabled and exposed by the immediacy of dating app culture, has led to a pretty low bar for what generally constitutes a good guy. There are so many arrogant dude bros talking over us about their favourite novelist, literally always a white American man from the 20th century, or creeps sending us dick pics, that when a man listens to us for more than a minute and, doesn't sexually harass us, we immediately think he's a dreamboat. Seriously, the bar is currently melting somewhere near the Earth's core, and there it will remain until men aren't applauded for extending us the most basic human courtesy. Still, when you're wading through the quagmire of shite that is modern dating, sometimes it can be hard to see these things for yourself. What you need is some perspective. What you need is a girlfriend who will tell it like it is. A bit ranty, a bit sweary. She won't let you off.